GHRT Rewinds are brought to you by Laughlin and Wolfington Team. Your home sold guaranteed realty. Find out what your home is worth online instantly at LaughlinWolfingtonRealty.com. I want to reach back to last Friday and our show and talking with Republican running for Congress in Maine's 1st Congressional District, Andrew Piantadosi. Listener had a question. I had it too about term limits. Here's the question. Here's his reply. Listener, I think this is a fair question. Have you any thoughts or concerns concerning term limits for those that serve in Congress? Andrew?
What a great question. So I will take a pledge right here, and I hope your listeners write this down. I believe in the chambers of Congress, the lower chamber, so the House of Representatives, should have no more than 4 terms, and I will pledge to that right now. And there ought to be a discussion in the Senate as well. So I think 2 terms is appropriate in the Senate.
Shortly after that, we got an email from our friend Kenn Quinn with U.S. term limits. Ken, welcome back to the George Hale Rick Tyler Show.
Good morning, Rick. How are you?
I'm doing well. Had you heard from Andrew, who's running for Congress in Maine's 1st CD, about signing on to something that U.S. term limits your organization is so interested in?
No, I haven't heard personally. What prompted my email was I got a good friend had mentioned to me that you asked that question in his response. And so I did listen to it, and I was very glad to hear Andrew supports term limits for Congress. And so I've reached out to him on Facebook, but I have not heard back from him yet. And so, this is a pledge program that we have. We actually have a pledge for people running for Congress and also for people running for the state legislature. Now, what I heard in his comment is that he's for no more than 4 terms. Now, our pledge is a little bit different than that. Mm-hmm. Our pledge we actually have an amendment in Congress right now. We have over 114 members of Congress that have signed this pledge. I'll just read it to you real quick. I pledge that as a member of Congress, I will co-sponsor and vote for the U.S. term limits amendment of 3 House terms and 2 Senate terms and no longer limit. So this would be 3 terms in the House and 2 in the Senate. So one person could technically serve 18 years between both chambers.
Mm-hmm. And you said you have how many people already sitting in Washington, D.C. with a job ready to sign on to the thing?
Yeah, 114 members of the U.S. House have signed on, and 21 U.S. senators have signed on to this pledge. So there's several term limit amendments that have been introduced in Congress. This is the one that has by far the overwhelming majority of co-sponsors, hands down.
Okay, and of course, the listener would want to know if any members of Maine's congressional delegation have yet signed on to it.
Yes, actually, Congressman Jared Golden has signed on. He was one of the first co-sponsors of this amendment. He's a strong supporter of this amendment, so we really do appreciate that. He's the only member of our delegation that has.
Okay. As for locally, as for within the borders of the state of Maine, I'm often seeing news releases that you're sending our way from U.S. term limits that talk about members of Maine's House and Maine's Senate who are signing on to something. Am I reading those correctly?
You are. Now, that's another pledge that we have. That's a little bit different. In that pledge, that pledge is for an Article 5 convention. So basically, we want if Congress does not propose this amendment, we want the states to propose it. And so, however, the difference being in the candidate for state office, that pledge states this: I pledge that as a member of the state legislature, I will co-sponsor, vote for, and defend the resolution applying for an Article 5 convention for the sole purpose of enacting term limits on Congress. So it does not specify number of terms. We left that completely out of the application to let the states decide when they meet on what the number of terms should be. So we have 55 members of the Maine legislature that have signed this pledge, and so that's what you're seeing for press releases. We have a tremendous number of supporters in the House and the Senate, and actually the vote on this resolution, SP 705, it looks like it's going to be tomorrow in the Senate.
Mm-hmm. All right, mark on our calendar for that to see what happens. Any indication as to whether or not we have the votes in the Maine Senate to see it pass?
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's going to be very close. I'm hoping that we get at least a majority vote, and unfortunately, It looks like there's a rule in the Maine legislature that they've been interpreting this type of resolution requiring a 2/3 vote, seeking possibly a reinterpretation of that because there's confusion that people think this is a constitutional convention and that's how it's worded. So it causes a lot of consternation and confusion. And so this is not a constitutional convention that can only propose the amendment applied for. So if we get a majority, hey, I'll be happy with a majority vote, but we would definitely want the 2/3 and then hopefully the same over in the House. And well, we're making really good, this very bipartisan. We have members of the Senate, both sides. I think I had mentioned last time I was on that the VLA committee passed the resolution with 4 Republicans and 4 Democrats in support. So it's got strong support on both sides.
Okay, a listener sends a text. Okay, now you have my attention that something is happening in Maine. For that person, let them know. If there is a yes vote tomorrow in Maine's Senate, what would this do?
Well, then it has to be passed by the House. And so let's say it goes the way we want it to go. What this does, it will put Maine on record as applying for an Article 5 convention to propose term limits on Congress. We need 34 state legislatures to pass this same resolution. As of right now, we have 6 that have passed it. So we have a long ways to go. And because this is a limited convention, that would be the only amendment that could be proposed. And so we need to have Maine's voice to join with these other states around the country to get this done. Now, what's going to happen is as we get close to this call, history has proven in the past that as we get close to a convention call, Congress ends up proposing the amendment that the states are seeking. Perfect example of that would be the 17th Amendment and the direct election of senators. So they are not going to let the states dictate to them their own terms of office. And what we'll see happen more than likely is that Congress is ultimately going to propose this amendment, but they've got to feel threatened that the states will do it to them, and that's what we're working on.
Here on Augusta Waterville's news talk station, VOM, talking with Kenn Quinn of U.S. term limits. And you said you need 34. Maine would become, or how many do you have so far? Maine possibly could become what number?
Maine could be number 7 if we pass it this week. Let's get that done. And if people could help us out, if I could just direct them how to help on this here in Maine, if they go to termlimits.com, and on our website, if they go to current action and then look for, it says 2024 bills in progress, just go find Maine and click the take action button. That will send a message to their senator and their representatives to support this vote tomorrow. That would be really helpful to us.
We've gone around this mountain, but I want to bring it up one more time in case someone has the same question, and that is, if we put in term limits, there's a chance we lose a lot of institutional knowledge in Washington.
Yeah, I've heard that one before. Yep. Let me just share what we actually have in Washington right now. Right now we have over 8,000 years of institutional knowledge between state service and federal service. What is that getting us? This idea of institutional knowledge is nonsense because, number one, not every person is going to be completely removed from office in the same year. So this idea that it's going to be changed, I would love that to happen. I would much rather have real life experience knowledge than this institutional knowledge. What institutional knowledge is mostly, as we see, knowledge on how to game the system to benefit themselves. That is why nothing is getting done. We need new eyes on the problems down in Washington to start solving these problems. Nothing is going to change by elections. We have got to completely change the structure of the system to not allow people to hold office for life, because once they do and they have that opportunity, it's the power of this incumbent party that controls everything, and nothing's going to get changed until we can bring the vote closer to the people and turn these people out on a regular basis. So that's why we're fighting for this.
Ken, you said it may be close in the Maine Senate. What do you see over in the other chamber?
Yeah, well, the other chamber, we've made now. I've been working on this for a number of years.
Bunch of years, yeah.
This has been the best support that we've had from the Democratic side, and so until I see the roll call vote, it's going to be hard to tell. But when I'm talking to legislators up there, we have most of the Republicans on board. Now, there's some that are still fearful of this idea, and they're listening to the fear mongers out there, unfortunately. There's a lot of Democrats that are in support, but I'm also hearing we got several groups that are opposing this, like Common Cause, the League of Women Voters, the John Birch Society. They're pushing a lot of this fear, and so it's starting to affect some of them. I think the vote in the House this year is going to be far better than we've seen in previous years. So we're making some tremendous gains, and I'm a realist. Yeah, I would love for this to pass. It will be a wonderful thing to see, but I'm just happy with the progress we've made this year. People are starting to realize, we've got to do something. The states have got to step up, and they're starting to realize, we have this authority. Why don't we use it?
Ken, when you hear what happens in the Maine Senate possibly about tomorrow, would you let us know so we can let listeners know?
Oh, absolutely. I will send you, I'll be sitting in the chamber, and I will try to send you a Facebook message, Rick. And there's another thing, if you don't mind, I'd like to have people help me with. This is actually a plank in the Maine Republican Party platform, and unfortunately, the new platform, they removed it. And so I'm asking Republicans in Maine if they would go to the MaineGOP.com website, and under where it says Home and About, if they look at the current party platform, it's under Section 10. It's item number 12, and it just requests the Maine legislature to pass this application for term limits amendment. If they just copy that and send it to the proposed party platform for 2024, there's another link they have to click on, and just copy that and send it. We need to keep this in the plank. This is an important issue, and it's too bad that they've removed it this year, but I'm working to get that put back into the Republican platform.